Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So principles of programming language. Last class we have discussed many things, the preliminary things which are required for this class. So with the evolution of the digital computer since 1940, during the Second World War onwards, so a number of computers architectures are designed and developed. So based on all these architectures, the programming languages are also evolved. Okay, so there are different categories of programming languages. So the programming languages are classified into a number of broad categories. We will discuss in this class how they are classified. But first, going before going to that, the classification of digital, we should discuss about the classification of digital computers. Okay, so simultaneously, the computers are designed along with some programming languages are also designed. So as you know, the computers are electronic machines. It can only understand zeros and ones. That language is known as machine language. It is very difficult for the human users to communicate with the computers by using the machine languages, because zeros and ones is very difficult. Very, it is not readable and not writable, and many other issues are with that. Okay, very difficult to remember, to identify the instructions, etc. So the first language, the programming language which was developed along with the digital computer, was the machine language. Okay, already we have discussed in the last class. So here, the evolution of digital computers. Okay, from this figure, you can identify the first computer, digital computer, was invented in the year 1940. Okay, during that 1940 to 1945, a number of designs by different countries, or scientists of different countries, have been invented, starting from Germany to your USA. Okay, so in the year 1950, your favorite, that is the ENIAC, electronic numeric integrator and calculator, has been designed by John von Neumann, which is known as the modern computer architecture, or John von Neumann's architecture. So apart from this, a number of corporate machines which are known as the mainframes, right? Mainframe computers are also designed. So then the development of microprocessors from 4-bit to 8-bit, then 8-bit to 16-bit processors. Now we are using 64-bit processors are designed. So based on the world next, the processors are designed, along with that the computers are designed, developed, evolved to a better one. Simultaneously, the programming languages are also developed. The operating systems are also developed. Okay, so from corporate machine to personal computer PCs during the year 1970s, for the common people, they can use it for their personal purpose. Okay, so in the year 1980s, okay, so laptops or notebooks are developed. After that, various applications are developed based on those architectures. Okay, so everything is started with the evolution of the digital computer, right? So initial programming language are the machine language, and here the chronology of programming languages, along with the development of digital computers, the programming languages are also designed. Okay, so the software engineers worked on the programming languages, and the hardware engineers worked on designing the computers, right? So in early 1950s, right, in order to avoid the difficulties arises because of programming by using machine language, okay, so some primitive assemblers are used, that is known as language pseudocodes. Language pseudocode means uh, some human-like languages are used to convert the machine level instructions into assembly level instructions. Okay, so that is known as primitive assemblers which are converted to the assembly language programs into machine language program, right? So then in 1957, Fortran formula translation, the first high-level programming language has been developed, that is highly scientific language. Then in 1958, ALGOL. Then 1960s, Lisp, COBOL. In 1962, APL, Shimula. Okay, 1964, Basic and Programming Language 1. In 1966, iSwim, first modern functional language. Okay. So then in 1970s, Prolog, 1972, C programming language, 1975, Pascal, 1978, C concurrency matures, CSP. In 1978, FP. In 1983, Smalltalk, RADA. In 1984, Standard ML. In 1986, C++, AFL. In 1988, Clos, Oberon, or Mathematica. 1990s, Haskell. 1990s, that is Fall, Python, Ruby, JavaScript. Many programming languages, scripting languages have been evolved. In 1995, the most popular Java, and in 2000, that is C Sharp. So, if we will analyze this chronology of programming language, you will find there is a huge relationship with the design of computers, with the design of digital computers. So, let's see here. So, first computer, then mainframes. So, with the evolution of digital computers, the evolutions of programming languages are done simultaneously, right? So, the programming languages are divided into a number of categories. Okay, we have discussed into a number of categories. Okay, that is paradigms based on the patterns of programming language. So, first programming language which you have categorized is that the machine language, and which is very difficult for the human users to program a computer. Then the assembly language, then structured programming language, then functional programming language, then object oriented programming language, then concurrent object oriented programming language. Okay, then logical programming language. So a number of paradigms you will find. Paradigm means the classification of different programming language based on their patterns, right? So a number of programming categories of programming language we can obtain. So here the question arises, so why all these programming languages are evolved or designed? So why they are designed? So there are a number of questions and there are a number of answers for this. Suppose when the computers are initially started, their processing capacity was very less processing capacity. That means only 4 or 8 bits can be processed at a time. In that case, the computers are not capable enough, okay, to process a number of complex instructions. So simultaneously, when the processors are designed, more advanced processor technology come. So when the processor is capable of processing a multiple numbers of instructions simultaneously. So depending on the capacity of the processor or the processor architecture, the different programming languages are created. Okay, and based on the domain, so what domain you are going to work. So depending on the domain of the problem, depending on the application, right? So different programming languages are developed. So in this paper, actually, we will analyze how to select the best programming language for the best domain, and what are the differences between different categories of programming language, how to design a new programming language. So that is basically whenever we are thinking for a particular application, so which programming language will be suitable for that application. So we can find out by analyzing a number of parameters, right? So those parameters we are going to discuss, right? So here programming paradigms. So that is the different categories of problems. So basically, we have discussed a number of programming paradigms, that is starting from machine language to assembly language, structured programming language, functional programming language, and object-oriented programming language. So the paradigms are basically here. Imperative style. The imperative style, that means the program will be designed based on the algorithms and the data related for the application. Okay, so functional style means the functions. That means the main objective of the program will be divided into a number of modules. Okay, so modules means the function. So whenever we call that function will act, will do some task and will return to the main function. So that is your functional style of programming. And logic programming style is, that is the facts and the rules. I don't know the predicate logic, some propositions, the rules. Okay, and it is the logic programming language will be suitable for searching, which will be used for artificial intelligence. Okay, so next is object oriented programming style. So here we have to create a number of objects which will consist of the data along with the methods or functions encapsulated inside it, and it is very good for modeling. Okay, so there are many other styles of paradigms are already there. So here, so overview of different programming paradigms. So why we will study all these? So the categories of the programming languages, programming domains, language evaluation criteria. So how we'll evaluate the programming languages, which one is best for our application. Influences on the language design. So what are the influences on the language design? And language categories. What are the different categories of the language? That is already paradigms we have discussed. Language and design trade-offs. Okay, implementation method and the programming environment. So these are the factors whenever we will study the different programming paradigms. So first we'll discuss about the reasons for studying concept of programming language. Okay, so the concepts are basically, what are the concepts? Concepts of the programming language. That means concepts are basically introduction to syntax and semantics. Okay, so syntax, if you uh, want to know about the syntax, so syntax means the structure of the programming language. So syntax means that is the structure. Syntax means that is the structure of the programming language. So what are the character set used? What are the symbol tables? Which are the symbol used? So that is the symbol table. Okay. How to write the program. How to write the program. Okay, the code structure, that is known as syntax. And semantic means the rules. And semantic means the rules by using which you will know whether a statement or whether one instruction is correct or not based on that language. So rules by using which correctness of the statement can be checked. Correctness of the statement can be checked, right? So then formal methods for describing the sentence. These are the concepts. Attribute grammars. What are the properties of the grammar? Describing the meaning of programs. That is dynamic semantics. The rules. Okay. So these are the concepts. So why we learn all the concepts of programming? So let's see the reasons for studying the concept of programming languages. Okay. So first is the increased ability to express your ideas. Suppose you are going to solve a problem, right? So you have some idea how you will express your idea into work, into a valid program which will be executed by the programmer, right? So that is the first point is that is increase the ability to express ideas. Second is the improved background for choosing appropriate language. So after studying all the concepts of different programming language, you will have some knowledge to choose appropriate language for the for different problems. So that means see from problem statement to problem statement, the application of languages, the use of languages will change. Because why I will tell you here. So from the small computers to nowadays that is IoT, Internet of Things, every equipment, every machine is going to be connected with internet and will be automated. So industry version 4.0. So everything is going to be automated. Okay. Some small machines, your digital watch, let's say your television, your washing machine, okay, or microwave oven, to a large industry, right? Your smartphone. So the application will vary from small equipment or small machine to larger machines. So whenever there is a small machine, so the memory is also very small and the processing capacity also very less. So for that you will choose some language which will be suitable for that particular device. And whenever there is a large industry, you are going to automate it. Then you have to choose the language, okay, which will be suitable for that type of application, right? And also next is increase the ability to learn new language. So if you are able to study the concepts, if you are able to know the concepts of a programming language, then you will have the ability to learn new languages. Okay. And next is better understanding of the significance of the implementation. How to implement the problems, the solutions for the problems uh, to the machine. Okay. So you will get better understanding if you study the concepts of programming languages. Better use of language that already known to you, and overall advancement of computing. So overall advancement of computing. So every day, so new concepts are coming. So as per the Moore's law, you know that is the technology develops in every one and doubles in every 1.5 years. So every 1.5 years, when the technology doubles, the programming languages are also increases and the architecture also increases. So you have the greatest ability will have developed by using which you can learn new languages and cope up with the advancement of the computing, right? So as I have told you, so with respect to the domains of programming or problems, the programming language will change. Okay. So for example, Fortran formula translation, the programming language, now it is Fortran 2003. So earlier it was Fortran 77. A number of compilers are developed for Fortran. So Fortran is very suitable for scientific applications. So for the domain of scientific application, so this is the domain. A large number of floating point computations, use of arrays and matrices are there. So for that, the Fortran programming language is very suitable. Okay, for business applications. Okay, produce reports, use decimal numbers, characters. the COBOL programming language. If you have heard, it is designed in the year 1960s. Okay, for the IBM machines, mainframe computers. That is common business-oriented programming language. Okay, so that is for a business application. So for business application, that COBOL was designed for that. Artificial intelligence. So when you will think for analytic machines, you want to design some analytic machine. So this is artificial intelligence uses the symbols, various symbols are used for search, use of linked list. So the suitable language is Lisp, that is a list instruction set processing, a programming language. Okay. So nowadays we are using Python usually for the artificial intelligence programming. So this is another domain of programming. Okay. So next domain is system programming. So system programming means the development of applications uh, for the system, that is operating system, compilers, interpreters, right? So if we design the device drivers, then all are coming under system programming. So for system programming, the C programming language is more suitable because you know the C programming language is the middle level language, right? And so web software, like the web applications. So you know there are many programming language, scripting languages are developed over the years for the web application. So these are the different domains. So web application development, system programming, artificial intelligence programming, okay, business programming. So these are the different domains. Banking, railways. Okay, so these are the domains. So for domains, whenever we are thinking, so thinking for the programming language, so the programming language will be changed with respect to the domain because of the requirement. Right? So there are many languages. So whenever you are working on a particular domain, so you have to choose the particular application. For web development, you will find the scripting language like JavaScript or PHP, HTML, dynamic HTML. So all these programming language, that is markup languages, are developed for the web web applications. Okay. So next is the language evaluation criteria. So how you will evaluate the programming languages? So first criteria is readability, the ease with which the programs can be read and understood. Readability. So the machine languages are felt this concept purely because the machine languages are not readable at all. Okay, so this is the first criteria for the evaluation of programming language. How easily you can read and understood it, right? So the language evaluation criteria, first criteria is readability. How you will able to read and understood. So machine language completely failed. So next is assembly language. That is very simple, but programming is will be very difficult whenever the complexity of the program will increase. Okay, so the assembly language is very suitable for the system level application, system level small applications. But whenever you are thinking to solve a problem with highest complexity, or the domain will be changed to business, or domain will be changed to web application, so the assembly language can fail. Okay, so you have to think for the high level programming or scripting languages for this. Okay, where readability is better, you can read and understood these programs very easily. Okay, writability, the ease with which a language can be used to create the programs. Okay, writability, you can code, so comfortable with coding, so very easily it should code. So there are nowadays this coding is totally depends upon the um, editors. Okay, so there are number of editors, smart editors are available. So before you think, if you type the first character, then the functions, the coding, the syntax, semantics are coming automatically. Okay, it will be highlighted if there will be any mistake, right? So then evaluation criteria is reliability. How reliable your application is, your programming language is. Reliability means C. Suppose the C programming language and Java. Can you say C programming language is reliable? Can you say C programming language is reliable? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Can you say C programming language is reliable?
No, sir.
Why no? Why it is no, not reliable? Any answer? Anyone? Okay. So C programming language basically uses functions, right? Functions and unstructured programming concepts. Unstructured programming concept means the statement like go to statement. The statement like go to. Go to, very dangerous. Go to statement. That means by using go to, the control of execution can jump from any location to any locations, which will violate the structured programming concept, number one. And number two, that is the use of pointers. Sometimes the pointers are locating to a location, but whenever the location is accessed, there is no data is present, so that it will become dangling, and which can crash the entire program. So it matters whenever we are thinking to evaluate a programming language, the reliability, how reliable that software is. So C programming is not reliable. Let's see. So no, that that is very efficient for programming the systems we have discussed just earlier. Okay, so that's why C programming is a middle level language. It is very suitable for system programming, and middle level, that is device driver programming. So that in motor industry, C programming is used. Motor industry, but the rules and regulations of C programming has been changed to MISRA, Motor Industry Safety Reliability Association, MISRA C, right? The C programming rules semantics are changed for MISRA C. MISRA C means, that is Motor Industry Software Reliability Association, to make C, by removing certain aspects of the C programming language. So the pointers, the rules, everything will be removed. They go to all these which will create problems for the program will be removed in this MISRA C compiler. Okay, and Java is reliable. Java is reliable because it avoids all these complex structures which will create confusion during the programming, like go to, okay, pointers, all the concepts are not present there. So that is reliable. Okay, so whenever you are thinking for a better programming language for our application, so we have to think about the reliability also, how the programming language is safe for this domain. And next one is the cost. So what is the cost of that programming language? Okay, definitely you will analyze. That means before starting up any project, so you have to perform the cost benefit analysis. So here we have to analyze the cost, right? So based on the cost also, that is another evaluation criteria for this. Okay. Next criteria is overall simplicity. Simple. How simple the programming language is to write a program to code. Okay. So a manageable set of features and constructs, minimal feature multiplicity, minimal operator overloading. Okay. So how simple? Orthogonality is a relative small set of primitive constructs can be combined in a relatively small number of ways. Okay, every possible combination is legal. That means uh, to design a complex coding. Okay, any relation between any set of structures. That means like there are number of structures you will find: if else, flutter, switch case. Okay, loops, for loop, do while loop, for each loop. So a number of constructs are there, structures are there. So whenever any, that should orthogonality means, that it means any structure can be used with anyone. So inside if I can write the loops, for loop or while loop or do while loop, anything. So every possible combination of these structures will be legal. Okay, so in which programming language that is accepted, which programming it is not accepted. So we have to analyze that also whenever we are evaluating a programming language. Okay, and the last one is the data types. Data types, adequate predefined data types, or the primitive data types that you know. For every programming language, there are some primitive data types defined. Okay, so there are two types of data types. One is primitive, and another is the derived data type, or the secondary data type. You can say that is the abstract data type. So adequate numbers of predefined data types should be there in the program. Okay, so in Java you are using boolean. Boolean is for true or false, right? But in C programming language that is less. So like this, number of new data types in different programming languages you will find. In JavaScript there are very less number of data types. Okay, so in Python also. So depending on the data types, we can also evaluate the programming languages. Okay. So next is the syntax considerations, that is coming out of the readability. Okay. So syntax means, I have told you, the structure of programming, the structure of the programming language. Okay. The symbol character set and symbols. Character set and symbols, a symbol table. Okay. Identify forms, flexible composition, special words, methods of forming compound statements, forms and meaning, self-descriptive constructs, meaningful keywords. So these are the syntax considerations. So how easy to read the program, right? So simplicity, and also already we have discussed that. Few constructs, a small number of primitives, a small set of rules for combining them. That is the simplicity. And support for abstraction. Abstraction means the abstraction is the process of creation of new data type from the exist by using the existing one. So abstraction is the process of creation. It is the process of creation of new data types from the existing data types. From the existing data types. Okay. So the ability to define and use complex structures or operations in which they allow to details there are details to be ignored. That means it is the process of creation of new data types from the existing data type without the implementation details. You can say without the implementation details, without the implementation details, right? So expressivity, a set of relatively convenient ways of specifying operations. Okay, so how easily could be expressed? Strength and number of operators and predefined functions. So how much number of operators are there, and how many functions are there present in the library? So that is also coming under this expressivity. Okay, so next is type checking, testing for type errors, exception handling, that you know in Java you have learned the exception handling, that is intercept, run, time errors and take corrective measures. Aliasing, that is referencing. Okay, aliasing means referencing. Another name, new name will be given to the existing identifiers. So that is presence of two or more distinct referencing methods for the same memory location. Same memory location, you should refer in more than one different ways by giving new references. Okay. Next is readability and writability. A language that does not support natural ways of expressing an algorithm will require the use of unnatural approaches. Okay, and hence reduces the readability. So, a language, a programming language that does not support the natural ways of expressing an algorithm will require the use of unnatural approaches, and hence it will reduce the readability. Getting it? So, now next one is evaluation criteria, that is the cost. Okay, training the programmers to use the language. So cost, right? So these are the cost of implementation. Training programmers to use the language, writing programs, closeness to a particular application, compiling programs, executing the programs, language implementation system, availability of free compilers, reliability, poor reliability leads to high cost, maintaining the program. So for all these steps here, so cost is involved. So suppose you are the programmer, you are working in a software company, you are software engineers, and your company asks to work in a particular domain, but you don't have the knowledge about the programming that domain. So your company will give you training. So what is the cost of that training? Okay. So how closeness to a particular application? So that means the programming language you have selected, right? You are designing the program for a particular application domain. Okay. How closeness to a particular application, to that application, how it is closeness there, how closely you will achieve the after the results. Okay. So for satisfying the all these problem statements, compiling of the programs, executing of the programs, language implementation system. Okay, whether there is availability of free compilers or not, or we have to purchase the compilers. Okay. Reliability, whether this language is reliable or not. Otherwise, it leads to high cost, because after programming 6 months, you will able to know that this program crashes. Okay, with certain bugs at certain times in certain situation the program crashes. So 6 months work may be waste. Okay. So reliability is one important factor, otherwise it will increase the cost of implementation. And maintaining the program. So maintaining the program means that means every 1 or 2 months you have to give some new updates. Okay. So the program must be updatable. Okay, in a regular interval of time, which will to remove the bugs. Okay, and to add different new concepts to your current application. That is also involved in cost. Evaluation criteria, or that's other evaluation criteria, that is portability, right? So Java programming language is portable. Why that is portable? Anyone can answer. Why Java programming language is portable?
Sir, because it is
Yes, because it is.
platform independent.
So why Java programming language is platform independent?
Because after compilation, we get a bytecode, means dot class file, so we can run it in any operating system.
Right. So once the Java program is compiled, right? So it will generate one bytecode which can be run on any platform. So it will regardless of the operating system, it can be executed. What are the requirement for that execution? What required for that?
The
Who makes?
system have JVM.
Yes, Java, that is Java Virtual Machine. So Java Virtual Machine is the machine which makes Java programming language portable, and the JVM is different for different operating systems, right? So whenever we are thinking to evaluate a programming language, so this is one of the criteria, that is the portability, whether the programming language is portable or not. Because suppose you are designing the program for your Windows machine, that program may not work in the Unix environment. right? So this criteria you have to also consider: portability, generality, the applicability to a wide range of application. That means you have designed a program. That program can be applied to a wide range of applications. Okay, that is generality. That means the internet programming. So for internet programming means, so the internet that is nowadays small devices are connected with that. The middle level devices like a television, washing machine, they are also connected. AC, fridge, they are also connected to internet. Your That is industry automation fully based on internet. So that means the TCP/IP protocol stack, that protocol stack which is required for internet connectivity, can be applied in wide range of applications, starting from the small embedded systems to the large industrial automation. So everywhere that is used. So that is applicability to a wide range of applications. So you just imagine, so how that TCP/IP protocol stack is developed so that it is suitable for all type of applications. So whether it is your small digital watch, or whether it is industry automation like Navratna company's Nalco automation, or automation of our Nalco, or any other largest companies. So that same application is working for all type of domains. Okay, so that is the generality. So that type of programs. Okay, so well definedness, the completeness and precision of the language's official definition, right? So after evaluation, so those are the different concepts of evaluation, how to evaluating the programming language. So we are coming to influence on language design. So how the language is evolved to this extent, to now we are working on Python, R programming, MATLAB, okay, and Java programming, concurrent Java programming. We are creating threads. We are able to execute threads. Just imagine in 1950s, suppose you are in 1950s, can we able to execute one Java thread? Not possible, because the architecture of computer doesn't support that at that time. Okay, didn't support at that time. So it is basically based on the computer architecture, right? So it is the computer architecture which drives, which influences to design new language. So first, the digital computers are designed, then it is based on the binary languages, 0 and 1. Binary language means that is the machine language, that is zeros and ones. Okay, so it was not readable. So that's why assembly languages are created. So assembly languages are suitable, but whenever the program complexity increases, then it is very difficult to write the program by using assembly languages. So that the high level programming language like Fortran, Pascal, COBOL, okay, C, all these languages are developed. So these are the influences on the language design. Okay, so who influences on the language design? So first one is the computer architecture. So languages are developed around the prevalent computer architecture known as the von Neumann architecture. So in the last class, I have discussed with you about the John von Neumannian architecture, right? Which is the father of modern digital computer, you can say. So based on that computer architecture, the programming language also developed. Programming methodologies, new software development methodologies like object-oriented software development, okay, or that is logic, that is predicate logic-based programming language or calculus-based programming languages. Okay, led to new programming paradigms, and by extension, new programming languages. So the concepts of programming are developed. So based on the concept of that programming, new programming languages are developed. Okay, so these are the influences of this. So first one is the computer architecture influence. So well-known computer architecture, the Neumannian architecture. Imperative language is most dominant because of John von Neumann's computers. Okay, imperative programming language, that is the structured programming language, basically. So well-defined structure with data is there. Imperative programming languages. So these are most dominant because of the Neumannian architecture. So data and program, I have told you in the last class, that is at the time of loading, So the program and data will be stored into the primary memory, right? Data and program are stored into or loaded into the primary memory. Memory is separate from the CPU. So memory is separated from the CPU, and CPU will able to read or able to fetch the instructions sequentially, one after another, right? And the instruction and data are piped from memory to CPU. That is known as the CPU fetch cycle. In the next class, I will discuss with you. That is the CPU fetch cycle. CPU fetch cycle. So how these instructions are fetched from the primary memory and those are executed. Okay, so a different steps will be followed with that. So first one is instruction fetch, instruction fetch, then instruction decode, and next is execution, instruction execution. So the one instruction will be executed in this way, that is instruction fetch, instruction decode, and instruction execution. Later number of steps are added, like data fetched. Okay, so after receiving the data from the primary memory, then the instruction will be executed. So number of in parallel processing and pipeline, we will discuss all these things. Okay, so see, these three are basically consisting steps of the CPU fetch cycle. So memory is separate from the CPU. Instruction data piped from the memory to CPU in this way. Instruction will be fetched from the memory. Instruction will be decoded by the processor. Then instruction will be executed. Okay. Basis for imperative languages are variable model memory cells. So variable model memory cells means uh, uh, a huge amount of variables are used. Variables are data elements which are used, which will be stored in the memory, and the variable model memory cell means that means the memory is designed in such a way that it can accommodate the variables. Okay, assignment statements and model piping. So you know, assignment statement. Okay, A is equal to B, B will be assigned to A. So this type of statements modeling. And iteration is efficient. Iteration means that is a loop. So a number of loop structure are there. So that is while loop, for loop. So iteration is sufficient. That is the requirement of this. That means repeated execution of the instructions. Okay. So this is the John von Neumann architecture. Already we have discussed in last class. So this is the memory, right? So at every memory having some address location. Suppose it is 000 0001 0002, it will subsequently it will increase. Okay, so this is the CPU, this is the input and output device. So the CPU will get instruction from the input devices, fetch the instruction and data from the memory, will execute it, and will give the output to the output devices. So this is the process. Receives instruction from the input devices, then fetch the instructions and data, okay, and execute the program, right? So based on this, so today we have discussed many things, that is the evaluation of programming languages and why studying the concepts are required for these programming languages. And in next class we will discuss the different paradigms, that is imperative programming language, functional programming language, object-oriented programming language, and concurrent object-oriented programming language with the logic programming language. Any questions? Do you have any questions for this? Any doubts here?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
please.
why C is not reliable, sir? Please explain it again.
Okay, C programming language is not reliable at all, because you know the C programming language is using the go-to structure, right? Do you know go-to? What is the meaning of go-to? Have you ever used go-to statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm writing a small program. I will show you. Okay, I'm just whiteboard. Okay. So suppose here has include stdio.h. This is void main. Okay, and this is test function. Right. So this is a program with two functions. One is main function and another is the test function. Right. So what is the use of function? So what is a function? Anyone can answer function? Function is a logically independent block of a program, okay, identified by a name. Whenever that function will be invoked, that function, the code under that function will be executed. Okay, unless until it is called, the function can never be executed. When only we'll call it, the function will be executed. Am I right? Am I right? Satya?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I am writing the code for go to go to label go to label. Okay, and here the label I will define in the test function. So what will happen? I am calling the function, no, but still when the go to statement will be executed, it will directly jump to the test function. So the go to statement in C programming is highly makes it unstructured programming language. So the structure of function is not obeyed by this go to statement. Number one, this is the use of go to. It is highly dangerous to use go to statement in a structured programming language. Remember, go to statement. You cannot use go to statement in C programming language. If you will use, then it will create some problem. It is very dangerous to use go to statement. And the second problem is the pointers. Pointers are very helpful for system programming or the programming the microprocessors, but these are also very dangerous. Very dangerous means, suppose a pointer is pointing to a particular location. Okay, let's say address is 100. Okay, some data is there, and later another pointer x is removing this data. So when the program wants to access this pointer for that data, but this is already developed, already deleted by another pointer, so what will happen? The program will crash. The program will crash. That means the pointer is pointing to a location. Suppose that one question, the data is not present, or pointer is pointing one address, the address is not present. So either address is not present or data is not present. In both the cases, okay, both the cases, the program will crash. The program can be crashed. So તમે ଗୋଟେ program design કરજો, you have designed one program and it is crashed. So what is the use of that? It is very dangerous to use C programming language. So that's why the motor industry reliable association, motor industry, European motor industry software reliability association, MISRA, designed the C compiler, that is MISRA C, without using this. Okay, there is no pointer, there is no go to statement to make reliable, because whenever you are designing the software for your car vehicle, if there is any bug, then there may be one accident. Okay, to avoid those accidents, you must have to use some reliable software, and by using C programming language, reliable software can never be made without implementing the rules defined by this association. Okay, so this is a new set of rules built by this. Okay, I think you understood this, Satya, or any other questions?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, should I stop here? Okay, in the next class we'll meet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.